This is a real-time odds widget you can build in AI with just a couple of prompts. It pulls live odds, can be added to any betting website, and has one feature that turns it from a basic odds display into the start of a real betting tool. I'll reveal that later in the video. I've spent years building betting analytics software by hand, but recently I've started to wonder, is my software even that special anymore? My thinking now is with AI and the right odds data, almost anyone watching this can now start building their own tools and strategies. So today I'm putting it to the test by showing you how to build this widget, checking whether it actually works, and showing you where it breaks. Before we jump into this build, you probably have two questions. First, what is even the point of a live odds widget? A basic odds widget just shows prices for upcoming games. That alone is not that interesting. It becomes useful when it shows the best available odds, updates live, and helps you understand the shape of a market. Sports betting isn't just about picking winners. It's about getting the right price. If you consistently take bad prices, even good predictions become bad bets. Second, why build it yourself instead of just paying for one? It comes down to control. You decide which games are shown, which bookmakers are included, how it looks, and what logic gets added. This is where the opportunity is, and you don't just have to stop at a widget. The same flow can become an odds comparison site, an arbitrage scanner, a Telegram bot, a Discord alert system. There's many options. This widget is just the simplest form of the same idea, and that's why I'm starting here. Now let's cover the requirements. This is where things have really changed. Even a year ago, if I would have made a tutorial on building an odds widget, the requirements would have been brutal. You would need to understand programming, APIs, front-end design, back-end logic, and you'd probably spend weeks, if not months, getting something stable. Now I want to test whether that has changed. For this build, I'm limiting myself to two things: an AI agent and an odds provider. That's it. For the coding agent, I'm using Codex in the desktop app, but the general process works with tools like Cursor, Claude Code, or other AI coding agents. If you already pay for ChatGPT, you can just head to the website, click Codex, download and install the desktop app, and you're ready to go. If you want a free option, Cursor's hobby plan is probably the best place to start. The second thing you need is an odds provider. For this build, I'm using odds-api.net. The reason I'm using it here is because agents work best when they have clean, structured odds data, examples, and integration tools. AI can easily write the code, but it needs the right data. I built odds-api.net because I think the next generation of betting tools will be built by people using AI coding agents. So the API needs to be easy for both humans and agents to understand. It has an MCP plugin, custom agent skills, and a public GitHub repo with examples, so the agent has a much easier time using the data properly. There is also a free starting allowance, which is enough for this build. If you want to set this up for yourself, just grab an API key from the website and then copy the GitHub repo. Then pass it all to Codex and tell it to set up the environment. Alternatively, you can use the pip or npm package or even just the raw API. It's all in the description. Now we're ready for the build, but we're not going to start by writing a coding prompt. We're going to start with the design. One workflow I've been using a lot recently is getting ChatGPT to create a few UI mockups, then using the best one as a visual reference for the agent. So before I open Codex, I'm going to head to ChatGPT and ask it, create 3 UI mockups for an NBA moneyline odds widget showing upcoming games and the best bookmaker odds. Then I'm going to add the style I want and tell it what data to use. So it's generated the 3 mockups, and I like the design of the third one. So I'm going to copy the image, put it in Codex, and we're ready to write our prompt. I'm going to tell it to turn this mockup into a real odds widget. Don't add any more information, only fill in the fields in the photo and use decimal odds and Australian sports books. That is basically the whole prompt. Instead of writing code manually, I'm describing the result I want and seeing how far the agent gets. I'm also going to add this so there's less guesswork. Use the odds-api.net MCP for all data and have it stream updates as they come in. As a final part, I'm going to add use mock data for this. This is a super useful feature you get when you use the MCP. Using mock data means we can see how everything will look and how things will update without using any of our API credits. Now let's enter the prompt and let the agent build. The prompt is finished. It took around 10 minutes, so let's see what it built. Okay, at first glance, this is pretty impressive. We've got the games, the start times, the odds, and the layout is pretty close to what I asked for. But this is exactly where AI can be dangerous. Looking right is not the same as being right. So I'm going to check if it's requesting the data properly. If the request logic is wrong, we could burn through API requests or show stale odds, which we definitely don't want. So here we can see the first request for upcoming games. Here is the request for odds data, and here's the streaming request. This is the pattern we wanted. For a quick demo, you might skip this, but for anything involving real odds or real money, I would not. Now we're still missing the feature I teased at the start. Right now, the widget shows the best available odds. This is useful, but best odds doesn't automatically mean a good bet. This is where the special feature comes in. There's an incredibly useful field we have access to with odds-api.net called the fair odds field. Fair odds are basically an estimate of what the price should be after looking across the broader market. So if the fair odds are $2 and one bookmaker is offering $2.20, that can suggest the bookmaker is offering a better price than the market estimate. So I'm going to tell Codex, add the fair odds field to the widget, compare the best available odds against the fair odds value. If the available odds are greater than the fair odds, highlight that price as a potential value opportunity. The agent will already understand this field because of the MCP we connected earlier. I'm going to add one more thing. Switch from using mock data to real data. Let's run that now. The prompt is now finished, and there it is. That's a feature I teased at the start. This is where a basic widget starts becoming a real betting tool. At this point, a lot of people would stop. The widget looks good, shows odds, and highlights value. But if the odds are stale, or the agent invented a field, the whole thing is useless. So I'm going to run two quick checks. First, do the odds match a real sportsbook? And second, are the prices actually updating live? So here's the game on the sportsbook, and here are the odds. And we can see it matches with the odds on our widget. Now this is only a spot check, but this is a really good sign. Next, I'll check the network tab. Here we can see the streaming connection, and we can see an update coming through. With the update, our UI updates as expected. This isn't just static data, we're receiving live updates. Just like that, we've built a functional odds widget with a few prompts and validated it works. AI got us most of the way there, but knowing what to check turned this into a reliable piece of software. If I was improving this further, I'd add three things. First, better stale data handling. If the stream drops or the widget stops receiving updates, the user should know. Second, I'd add an odds movement pop-up so you can see how the odds change over time. And third, I'd turn this into a larger odds screen with more markets, more filters, and more context. Now overall, this isn't a complete betting strategy where you're going to be walking away with a bunch of profit. But this is a great first project. You can learn about betting markets and just generally build something cool with odds. If you want to build your own version, everything's in the description, and I'd love to hear about what you build. The real test now is whether AI can help build tools that find actual consistent edge.